Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We provide fan-oriented and analytic discussions on a variety of animated shows, movies, and anime, currently featuring Steven Universe, Voltron Legendary Defender, Star vs. the Forces of Evil, and Ruby. I'm Justin Cummings, and today I'm joined by Delaney Stovall.
Hey, y'all.
And Jeff Anderson.
Hey, hey.
We are continuing our discussion of Voltron Legendary Defender Season 2. Today we will be covering episodes 5 and 6. If you are not caught up, we will be discussing everything before that. Up to this point, we are not going past episode 6, though. If you want to hear our thoughts on the previous 4 episodes, you can listen to those podcasts at overlyanimated.com or by searching Overly Animated on iTunes or your favorite podcatcher, including Stitcher. So, we are going 2 episodes at a time. So this is our 3rd podcast in our series, and we are here now talking about 5 and 6. So, those are... What are the name of these episodes, guys?
The Eye of the Storm and Ark of Taujeer.
Those are the names. Thank you, Delaney. So, let's start with episode 5. Let's go around the horn with our thoughts. Jeff, let's start with you. What did you think of episode 5, Eye of the Storm?
I thought the Eye of the Storm was very pretty to look at. In fact, the whole thing was really well concepted out. It really makes you think, like, we must live in a really boring part of the universe to not have any of this weird stuff going on. But then again, it is a kids' TV show, and they have to make it look nice. But anyways, overall, it really, I mean, I'm sure you'll agree, it definitely evoked the chase from Avatar.
I wrote that note. It's literally the chase.
Mm-hmm. But, it was cool. I enjoyed this episode.
All right, Delaney, what about you?
I really like this episode. Like Jeff said, like this episode's gorgeous. Again, like this show is just really, really expressed. Like they're kind of showing off. Like this is how pretty we can make this show, and definitely they're playing to their strengths. There's some interesting stuff in this episode. I kind of enjoy this. I think this was a better version of the name of the episode in season 1 kind of escapes me, but where they kind of break up and they're kind of having their own little adventures. This is definitely, I think, a better version of that episode where we kind of perfected that kind of formula. Mm-hmm. Pidge learning languages, which is of course my child is doing things. That's exciting, and I just love my child. Arm leg pull, like hello, that's so great. Like.
I will say it once more for new listeners. Arm leg is Clance, Keith, and Lance. Just gotta keep everyone accessible.
I gotta use my ship name. They're part of Voltron. You gotta. But I think the episode was really good. It was, definitely very, very much the chase from Avatar. Not necessarily. I don't think it was super interesting necessarily. It was good though, and definitely better than the similar episode we had in season 1 where we kind of separate everyone. Everyone's tired, and we have these little mini adventures with everyone.
I like the mini adventures. Yeah, this was definitely a good episode. The only thing I didn't like, I was not a big fan of the slipperies. I thought that was kind of a unnecessary thing, even though it did have payoff. I thought it was just kind of not needed. It was the only thing that really felt out of place in this episode.
They played it well, though.
Yeah, they did. But overall, it was a really good episode. I liked it a lot. Again, like we keep saying, it's basically the chase from Avatar, which it was, but that's not bad. Like, the exhaustion of the characters makes the villain look really, really strong. It's a really good trope that I wish we saw more often in shows. I thought they played it very, very well. And they gave us a really good episode, and they really kept the pace of the season moving, so... That was a good episode. Let's really dive into it. So we start off where we left off, giant fleet, and we immediately try to escape. Jeff, did you expect us to immediately try to escape, or did you expect a fight?
I definitely escape. I mean, you've got the master, the big kahuna, the space station there. There's no way they're going up against that after they just escaped their lives. As they even say in the show, why would we stop and fight? Do you see what happened last time? So... Yeah, no, I think they made very sensible calls as usual. It was nice seeing those little flyers, the flood of them coming out of that main mothership, because it really throws into perspective how huge that thing is compared to those little ships.
Delaney, what did you think?
I mean, again, not shocked. We had, and also we're not ready yet. We're not ready for the big fight. We are also very weak at the moment. And so, escape was obviously like what we were gonna do. Yeah, again with the size, like it's really, really starting to hit. Just things you don't really pay attention to. And of course, like also how big the castle is. Okay, one, it's literally a castle, and now it's a ship. Like, so definitely. Then I also really liked watching. Granted, I guess this is more in episode 6. It's really satisfying watching the little ships like explode into these little balls of light. Like, it's just satisfying to watch.
Space
Just
explosions
visually.
are fun. Even though, space explosions aren't exactly, scientifically strong, it's still cool. And that's why we get them, because they're cool.
The defense drones, I was a huge fan of those. I don't think we've seen those before.
Yeah, no, those were so cool. And, like, they're kind of cute. Like, they're adorable. But then they're, like, destroying things. It's great. Yeah. And I like when they were, like, slamming together.
Yeah, that was so funny. And it looks like the same tech that powers the walls of the castle bridge, because, the castle bridge is presumably not at the tip of the thing, but you can still see around you because of holograms and whatever. Mm-hmm. And it looked like, at least from Pidge's perspective, each pilot had their own little all-around view of what the drone was seeing. Makes it a lot easier to pilot those things.
Which is some cool stuff. Mm-hmm. So we get the wormhole. They jump. Laura faints because Altean tech is apparently mind exhausting.
Yeah, it's her power. They actually said something here. They said we must be several galaxies away from Zarkon at this point, and I'm like, whoa! Like I thought this was all happening inside our galaxy.
No,
right?
No,
we're massive. Several galaxies. So wow, this is a huge scale.
So across the universe, you'd say, Delaney?
Yes, I was actually going to say that.
Stole your thunder.
This also, this is more like we're getting more of the sense of how powerful the Galra are, and we got this was also a little bit more in season 1 where they've taken over the universe, like they control like everything. Like we travel, granted again more episode 6, but we get farther and Pidge's little awesome algorithm. Finding Galra, and they're on basically every occupied planet, like anything that can support any form of life, like we're finding the Galra.
Which, yeah, it makes sense. Like, this is very much like a Star Wars-esque situation. We're a tiny little rebellion up against a massive force. And I think this season they've really done a good job at putting that into perspective. Like, how insanely huge the Galra Empire is. That it has no limits. So everyone gets their little assignments from Shiro, because Shiro's like, we need to do stuff. We need to rest. Space Dad. And so everyone goes off on their little missions. Pidge wants to learn a language. Hunk wants to bake cookies. Armleg goes to find the pool.
I was kind of surprised that they all did all that stuff instead of just conking out.
Yeah. It was granted,
like, especially Pidge, like, everything else is sort of like mind-numbing. Like, I bake, I go swimming, but Pidge wants to learn a language while he's dead tired. That's like, okay, good luck.
It's Pidge. It's Pidge.
That's what Pidge. That's how Pidge relaxes. Pidge unwinds by learning languages. I mean, that's great. I think and also Pidge likes to be alone. We've had that in season 1. Pidge is alone, gets to learn funky language. Also, why is Altean tech just literally designed to kill everyone? Like, what is it like growing up?
I don't think the Galra are the reason that Alora's entire race is gone. I think her technology is why her entire race is dead.
It's ridiculous.
You know what's funny is that scene of the bear coming against her, like, that was actually in that was the thumbnail for the next episode when I finished up episode 4, and I was like, I'm reading the description, they're battling the Galra, and I'm seeing this cute holographic bear. How does this connect? So it's funny.
Yeah, it was. I love the little bear, and although it terrified me, I love the bear. What did you think, Delaney? I'm going to turn this over to you for a new segment I'm calling Delaney's Arm Leg Time.
Yes.
Tell me about the pool. Tell me about your arm leg.
Okay, so we have, Lance. This is a really good scene, like Lance in the elevator getting ready, and then it's about to close, and Keith. This is so dramatic. Like, this is just the most dramatic. And they're arguing. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go to the pool. It's like really just. And then I really did like Keith go like, oh, if we're on other ends, like it'll be fine. And it's just like, oh, we're gonna have our beach episode in the castle, which no payoff, which is a little sad. Granted, of course, the pool's upside down.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed seeing them struggle so long, and that was the payoff. Like, they finally had to work together, they escape the elevator shaft, they do all of this, and they can't swim.
Well, and that shows a lot of character development too. Like season 1, like they would have just been in the elevator arguing instead of like actually like immediately we flash back and they're already really far up the shaft, like trying to get out, find somewhere to go.
I like how open they are about their antagonism towards each other. Like, look, we hate each other. That's fine. That's the way it is. But let's just deal with it.
It's really great. And then of course later in the episode we have. They cooperate, and they're like being like extra nice to each other, and I'm like, okay, y'all are cute.
It was their adventure that bonded them for all of time.
It's so good. Like, arm leg's real. It's happening.
I agree. Like, honestly, I didn't catch arm leg in season 1. I think just because of...
Really? I cradled you in my arms. You didn't catch that in season 1?
What do you mean you cradled me in your arms? We didn't watch the show together.
No. Did you not? There's a scene. Lance is like, Keith's like, I cradled you in my arms.
Okay, I think it's because I was binging the whole show in like a day to get caught up with you and Dylan so I could be on the next podcast. That, like, any B-plot, any ship was just not in my mind. My mind was purely on giant robot, giant robot, giant robot, giant robot, and I didn't catch anything else.
No,
and now that I'm going slower, I'm like, arm leg, arm leg, arm leg, arm leg.
Yes.
And I'm enjoying it.
It's developing slowly, but it's there.
It's not slow. It's just there. It's wonderful, and I love it. And by the season finale, I guarantee, I predict now it will be canon by the end of the season.
I don't know about that. I'm still not too satisfied with where we are right now, but we'll see. We'll see.
I predict it.
We'll do more arm leg check-ins as we move on.
I'm telling you, every podcast you're going to get the Delaney's arm leg time, where you just get to talk about arm leg.
It's like Hidden Zutara, except it's not hidden.
Exactly. So we have the jump again. I love them trying to explain wormhole tech, and Jeff, you ruined the scene for me because the whole time they were explaining the wormholes, I kept thinking back to our discussion on how wormholes are like hypothetical and like negative gravity and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's not how this works. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah, like they explain it enough. It's sort of like Star Trek tech language. Like, oh, the plasma conduit does this, that, the other. It's like, okay, that makes sense from like a story perspective. Like, you got to replace this part, but it really doesn't talk about about how it actually works under the hood, which is fine because kids show and they're not supposed to be making up real physics because none of this is possible anyways.
You're telling me a TVY7 show shouldn't explain its physics in perfect detail?
What the heck, right? But I do think that was actually a part of this episode that probably could have been written better because when Curran is talking about how the lasers and the lenses and the refractoring, there's a lot of exposition there, and I didn't really understand what he was talking about as far as the alignment issue until like near the end of the episode. I was like, oh, that's what the lasers are doing. I see. Okay. Maybe I was just not paying attention hard enough, but I think it could have been done more for show, not tell. I think that could have improved the episode.
Yeah, like it's neat, but we don't actually care. Like, I think I do think stuff like that's neat. Kind of getting a little explanation, but we don't need like. It's funny when Pidge will do it, but they always cut Pidge off.
Yeah.
Granted, a lot of what Pidge was saying made a lot of sense. A little bit like, it actually wasn't so much like complete out there. It was more math based. And, like it's neat, but it's like we don't actually need to hear about it. Like show us, and that's cool.
So then they jump the second time, and obviously more breaks into stones. And then my favorite part, we'll hide in the eye of the storm. Get it, guys?
Yeah.
That's the title.
Nudge,
it's
nudge.
a location, Delaney.
Well, it's better than greening the cube, so.
It is like a million times better than greening the cube. I love it. This podcast, we're back to location titles.
We're in space, we gotta.
The show's mad at you because you complained about titles of locations, then they gave you greening the cube, then you stopped complaining, and now we're back to location titles.
Yep. They gotta keep confusing me.
It's a really interesting location too. I think they said a metallic storm, and it's in the middle of space. There's no Coriolis forces. There's no atmosphere. what the heck? It's like I said, like the physics of this universe is very weird, especially when you get out of our galaxy, I guess.
We need a larger view to see what caused the storm or something.
Yeah, and is it going anywhere? Is it getting stronger? I don't know. It's cool.
Is that the true antagonist of the show that we'll have to fight in like season 3, where we team up with the Galra to fight the storm?
No.
Could be.
What I liked about this plot, though, is, like, we didn't do the typical Storm plot. Like, he wasn't like, oh, it's gonna... I mean, we had it a little bit. Like, it's gonna rip us apart, but we didn't spend so much time on that. It was more like, we're using the Storm to our advantage. I don't know, like, you know, this it's a device that gets used a lot, but this wasn't, like, the super annoying, typical way to use it. We didn't spend that much time on, oh, like, it's gonna rip Voltron apart, and, like, especially these 2 episodes in particular really showcase just how ridiculously OP Voltron is.
Mm-hmm.
So it was good. Like I appreciate. Like it was a neat. Obviously, it's a neat idea. Like Metallic Storm, it's really cool. And then of course it's helping us narrow down. Like it is like Zarkon magic tracking and the Black Lion.
Yeah,
so I thought it was pretty good.
So we see then Zarkon pop up again, and he's like, "I want the Black Lion," and then Voltron forms. And I think the fact that Zarkon actually was able to like take control of the Black Lion, and then still the other 4 lions are so powerful they were able to overcome that with the weird eye light beams that I still don't understand.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on there.
Yeah, that actually called to mind the finale of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes.
With the light shooting out of Aang, who's being taken over and all that. Although I think on rewatch, while that was interesting what the lions were doing, I don't think it was actually what saved them, because you see these explosions happening in the background. And then you see, oh, it's actually the castle that's just firing at the mothership.
It was interesting. I think they're very separate. It's this, again, it's same. I was watching that and I was like, we're in Avatar right now. And this is like, we're taking away Ozai's bending. This is cool. And like, and also it was very dramatic, and it was really, you know, it was very pretty, like the way they did it, and very interesting to watch. I think this might be something a little bit separate we'll have to deal with later, you know, again, like, and of course we're going to keep dealing with it. Zarkon has this deep connection to the Black Lion, and Shira has to fight it constantly. So I think that's more of like, you know, this is kind of like a Voltron. Maybe this is more about the magic, spiritual, you know, kind of side of the lions, and then of course the castle saved them, so the lights are kind of like, it's just confusing because the lights look the same. They're all blue, so.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
One thing that was interesting just before the scene, when Voltron separates from the castle and goes off its own way, and the chief druid is like, we have to take out the castle now, and she's sitting duck, and Zarkon's like, no, the Black Lion's all that matters. I thought there was an interesting moment there where there could be a future druid schism, where like Voltron or like Zarkon's not evil enough for them, and they're gonna go off to their own thing or betray him or something, because like they've got a lot of power and they're helping him because they want to. It doesn't seem like he has a lot of control over them.
Yeah, it's like they're separate, and like they're just helping. Yeah, they're just kind of this. It's kind of like this, the relationship between the Sith and the Empire, and I thought, I mean, and you know, particularly it was like the princess. Like I think this is more in season 1. We're returning back to this. You know, why is the princess such a threat? I mean, it has to be deeper than she's the last Altean, and she's not even really the last Altean, like Koran too. So it's like, what is it about Allura that's just like they have, like, why are the druids so fixated on destroying the princess? Like,
that's right.
They want Voltron, so it's like, what is she the key to Voltron? Like, what's going on?
Now she does have, what is this, that quintessence stuff that powers the warp drive of their ship. Yeah. So, and it seems to be a royal bloodline thing.
Yeah.
Which could be, maybe the Alteans were the good version of the Druids, like a race of magicians and whoever.
Oh, okay. That would make sense.
Ancient bloodline battles.
Yeah, I hope we do get something like that with Allura. My one worry is that they're just gonna make her one of the paladins, and so them hunting down Allura is no different from them wanting Voltron. But I feel like until we kind of resolve why Allura's important, we need to keep her and the paladins kind of like important separate until we explain why she's important, because we know why the paladins are important, because Voltron. I think we still need to know more about Allura before we can put her in Voltron, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're getting somewhere with this, especially like as we'll talk more in episode 6 and the conversation about the Galra. Like we're getting more into Allura, and we're gonna I'm assuming we're gonna have a lot more alone time with Laura, like what's going on. So I think we're dipping our toes in it a little bit. We're just not all the way there yet.
Yeah.
Good backstory.
So Hunk's cookies save the day because they
They're
happen
not
to
cookies.
they're not cookies, they're lenses because Hunk's not a good chef apparently. And so they use the cookies and the wormhole, and I mean, we knew they weren't going to die in the wormhole thing. They weren't going to kill them all off, but it was still a cool scene, I guess. What did you guys think of that scene?
It was a good payoff. Like finally, like, oh, here's how this tunnel of lenses like works, and how hard the problem this is of aligning all those lasers so they bend everywhere. And it was fun watching Karen skate around and slime them all up, and then his face across the last one. Very good animation there.
Delaney?
I was like, I was a little low-key terrified they were going to kill Cran a little bit. Like, I was like, is he going to... No, don't jump in front of the beam. And then I was like, oh, he's fine. Okay, he's just a goober. That's fine.
Yeah, I
But,
was slightly worried about them killing Karan.
Yeah, I was like, bruh, no. Of course, and granted, I mean, they gave him this weird disease thing, so at least, well, virus, I think. So it's all good. But, I lost my train of thought. There was, well, if I think of it, I'll bring it up.
So yeah, they barely survive. They make the jump, and then Zarkon.
Oh, I got it.
Yes.
What I really liked about this scene in the wormhole was, the wormhole generator. You know, the past few episodes, I meant to make a comment about this on our previous podcast, that, you know, that was the first time, you know, in 4 episodes, it took us 4 episodes to see Voltron form, and, like, you know, the whole process. Now, you know, episode 5, we see them form again. You know, Dylan loves reused animation, but I really liked this. This was a solution that didn't involve Voltron. Like, they didn't need to, like, they didn't solve the problem with Voltron. Like, they had to fix it. Like, I really, like, and of course we get into episode 6, and obviously it's cool, like, watch a giant robot beat stuff up, and, like, it's super cool. We have this weapon that can, like, destroy ships, which is ridiculous. But, yeah, I really liked this, you know, we solved it, you know, we have a problem, and we fixed it, and it wasn't Voltron. Like, we didn't have to have the giant robot to do it.
Right. Yeah, I definitely see that. It's nice to see the Paladins fixing stuff, and not just, you know, Voltron fixing everything.
They're not just, you know, bodies in the lions. Which,
Right.
obviously there's a connection, and the Paladins have to be kind of like, they have to have a connection, they can't just be anybody.
Right.
Though the Korean stuff kind of, like, which we'll talk about in episode 6, like, but just good stuff. Like, nice to see them, like, they're actually doing things, like, they're not just, you know, bodies to go into the lions.
Yeah. So they jump, and then Zarkon's like, we're going to Voltron. And so...
That laser that they fire, that they just barely miss,
Yeah.
dang, that was cool.
Yeah, that was awesome, and also I was like, that's terrifying.
Yeah. Brown, it's like as big around as the ship. That totally would have taken him out.
It was a scary laser.
Hmm.
So,
And that very last scene with Zarkon standing in front of the space storm, like facing it, really, really good framing, good lighting. I like that a lot.
And then all dramatic, set a course for Voltron, like, bruh. That's really
Like,
good, though.
So that's why I think why this isn't quite the chase, because the chase, it establishes that we're being chased, and it, like, takes them through, like, 3 or 4 iterations of being, you know, roused from sleep and have to go off, and then they finally wrap it up at the end. Whereas this one, they stop at, I think, 2 locations, and then they still don't resolve it. Like, we still don't know why he's chasing, and he still is chasing us. So, that's, I mean, it's not good or bad, it's just different from the chase. Very similar.
Which was good that they did do a little bit of variation. So that ends episode 5. We are on to the Ark of Taujeer. Taujeer. That word. So, Delaney, let's start with you this time. What were your thoughts overall for episode 6?
I was really liking kind of like everything about episode 6. We have this, well, I read the description at first, and I was like, alluring teeth go on their own? What? That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, watching it was really neat, and of course, again, my child Pidge is doing awesome things, because Pidge is awesome. And, again, like, this is also just gorgeous. We have this cool alien race, like, the Taujerians are super neat, and I like the way they're kind of like the Ood plus, like, the adipose from Doctor Who, like, they're really neat. And also, like, this, again, like, you know, another example of, like, how awful the Gulra are, and this kind of, and just, you know, really seeing what the Gulra do and what they, like, what they leave, people, like how they leave, well, I guess, aliens, how they leave, like, the people they, conquer, because it's kind of like, well, if they did this to them, it's like how many people, like how many races, like how many civilizations have been utterly destroyed by the Galra. And it's also just the planet's super cool. Like, it's acid. Like, it's not a lava. It's like, it's acid. It's terrifying. And, we have more of the vegetation that gets a little bit more explained. The Green Lion's special ability. We get Hunk's new thing. Like, okay, everyone can just do multiple things. It's cool. Like, who knows what's going to happen? But it's really neat. And then Keith and Allura being stuck in space was terrifying. But I really like this episode. And I think I liked it better, I think, than episode 5. Of course, both episodes are great. But I really like this episode and basically like everything about it.
Yeah, Jeff, what did you think?
Well, for the question, was that, you mean terrifying when they're in space because bad situation, or terrifying for the sake of arm leg?
Oh, no, it wasn't. No, I wasn't feeling like the arm leg. Like, I wasn't I wasn't worried about that. Because Lance was worried about it, and I was like, so it's obviously ridiculous. So it obviously wasn't a threat. No, it was definitely like them being alone in space. It was just like, oh, because that's just scary. Like, also the ship blew up, and it's like, okay, like, so my child messed up a little bit. A lot. Darn it, Pidge.
It was very gravity.
Yeah, they kind of they hung a lantern on that, I think, when earlier in the episode they said, like, that thing's still on there? As in, it's like really old job and might have malfunctioned.
Right. Yeah, so.
Yeah. But overall, I thought it was fairly enjoyable, this episode. I think there's an anime that, I don't know if either of you heard of it. It's called Knights of Sidonia.
Yes.
Isn't that on Netflix?
Yeah, it is on Netflix.
It's on, okay, cool. Have either of you watched it?
No, but Delaney, when next time you're ready to do a Netflix podcast, hit me up.
Yeah, it's an interesting animation style and really cool. Like they really up the wow factor every episode, which actually I think goes back to bite them, because at a certain point you're like, okay, these guys have taken out incredible threats and they're just so cool. How can they top it? And they keep having to top themselves every time to the point of getting kind of ridiculous, I think. So we're not there yet, but Voltron has the potential to, I think, be a little bit overpowered for their situation.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, now we know that they can make a sword, like a really big sword, then, what's
super sword.
Yeah, exactly. So, they can either, like, have a whole lot more enemies come up, and then it's like, okay, now we gotta find out a way to make him beat even these guys. Or they can introduce some limitations on the power, like, oh, maybe the lion's just not feeling it, or whatever. Or maybe they can't always do this super sword thing. But it does open up some interesting possibilities, like, if all the lions are pulling together to make the sword really big, could they all do the same to make the blaster really big, or the ice gun, or,
the shield.
Oh, the shield, yeah. Can they, like, super power the other superpowers? I don't know.
Right.
Well, also with that, I do think, I agree, like, it's OP, like, it's ridiculous. But at the same time, I'm finally getting a feel of why everyone in the universe is like, Voltron!
Exactly, yeah.
So that's finally paying off. Like, it's different when, it's like an Avatar. It's like, okay, yeah, the Avatar is super cool, but, like, Aang is a total, like, come on, he just wants to ride the koi fish, like, he's just a little tiny little, just dorky boy, like, and then of course he goes in the Avatar state and you're like, that's terrifying. So, but now it's like, for me that was kind of the moment here in Voltron is this, like, this is ridiculous, they just cut a ship in half, like, what?
Like, yeah, we gotta keep in mind that our paladins are new, like, they're just now learning kind of what Voltron's capable of. So
and it's been gone for so long.
Exactly, so when people hear of Voltron, they think the previous Paladins, and imagine what seasoned Paladins could pull off with Voltron, like just the insane scale of what they could accomplish, and then add to that legends over time, and it makes sense that people literally look at Voltron, honestly, kind of like a god figure. Like, when people talk about Voltron, it's almost like a deity. Like, that's the way they see it, because it's just so powerful. And I think we're finally starting to see them kind of reach that potential that everyone ascribes to Voltron, which is nice. But my biggest takeaway from this episode was a lot of alien Keith hints. Like, Keith is an alien at this point.
Oh, he's an alien, 120.
I'm not gonna. I think he has an alien ancestor.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
Because he asks, like, could Galra have been on Earth like a while? I feel like the question was like a while ago. That might have been like a family heirloom, that knife.
And are all Golra bad? Like we're kind of doing that. It's kind of almost like a Zuko kind of arc. It makes a lot of sense. Granted, I'm honestly just so shocked because like when I've seen the theory on Tumblr, I'm like, that's ridiculous, but okay. And now I'm like, they're right. Oh god, jeez.
It's very plausible at this point.
Oh boy. Okay, line from season 1 finale. Zarkon, you fight like a Galra.
To Keith?
Yeah.
What?
Keith, Alien Keith confirmed.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Confirmed.
You probably didn't hear it here first, because it's probably revealed later in the season, and you already knew it and saw it on Tumblr or something. But you heard it here now, and that's enough for us. So, yeah, I really like what they're doing with Keith. I've liked his character this season. I like that they're giving him, an arc of probably being Galra or something like that, which now I kind of want Shiro to die, and that sounds horrible, but I want to see them deal with a Galra leader, basically, and, comparing Keith to Zarkon and just stuff like that.
Like another Galra and the Black Lion.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see how that would work. That to me sounds really, really interesting, and I'm not sure if they're going to do that, but it kind of seems like they're going that route with how much they've been building up Keith, every episode. Have you guys noticed that he just seems more present this season, in general?
Well, he's, actually a character, for one, and I don't hate his guts. He was super irritating in season 1. It was just a lot of, drama. It was just a lot of Lance Keith, and, Keith really didn't have a character. He really wasn't, fleshed out in any way. He was just very, just very one-dimensional, and he's, we're seeing Keith, actually make decisions, we're spending time with Keith, and I think it's really paying off. I think right now, the standouts of the season, we're about halfway, I think the standouts of the season right now are Pidge, which, that's not just because Pidge is my child, but they're doing really neat things with Pidge, and Pidge is definitely has more of a presence this season than last season. Pidge had their moment, but then it kind of they kind of sidelined Pidge and just kind of boiled Pidge down to searching for their family. But here we have, Pidge is really stepping up and stepping out, and then also Keith is also, shockingly to me, I was I can't believe they're doing this with Keith. It's kind of back in the season 1 finale, when me and Dylan were oh, what do I want from season 2? And then they're giving it. We're actually fleshing Keith out, and they're doing it really well. And I'm excited to see what we're doing with Keith. I really like Keith right now. He's doing really cool stuff. He's really interesting, and I feel bad for him. Can we wrap Keith in a blanket and give him a hug?
I'm sure Tumblr has already done that. It's fine. I'm sure they're on it. I'm sure they love him. But yeah, this episode, I think, really did a good job of putting those plots forward. I loved what we got with Allura and Keith. So let's get into it. We start off by meeting the Taujeerians, and I love this design, like you said, Delaney. It's very alien. It doesn't feel human. It feels like we're definitely away from Earth, and we're getting into some really different species. And not enough sci-fi series really do that. I think we've talked about this in the past, and I think they really committed this time to true aliens. I don't know what was up with their speech patterns, but I thought they were pretty cool. Jeff, what did you think of them?
The Taujeer, I honestly wasn't a fan of the design. I think they look kind of goofy. They look kind of goofy to me.
True. They kind of look like the Michelin Man, so that's fair.
They are
the
goofy.
Michelin Man, and then for some reason I just didn't get the is that technology or because they seem kind of robotic and they glow, their mouths glow when they talk. I don't know. I just didn't get them very much.
It's called bioluminescence.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, and we have the opening stuff with Shiro and making sure Keith is okay, and Keith going off about the dream sequence rather, where we see kind of the Red Lion being under Galra control and Keith being the Galra warrior, and if that doesn't set up Keith as an alien, I don't know what does. Delaney, what did you say?
No, he's not just an alien. It was Zarkon's I am your father.
Yeah, no, exactly. I was gonna say Zark is he's Zarkon's son.
Yeah.
Dun dun dun.
Where have we seen that before?
I don't know, man. Just some war amongst the stars, I guess.
We have warped to a galaxy far, far away, if you consider...
I mean, if they do this, is this going to be like the biggest cinematic reveal in history? I don't know. Like, it's going to be weird.
If we're on TV, is it really cinematic, Delaney?
I don't know. That's fair.
I don't know how that works.
You know what? I felt like when... This is just like rewinding a little bit. When Pidge was showing off or trying to describe his Galra finder, I was... and they're all like, oh, what, can you speak English? Oh, okay, it's a Galra finder. It's like, no, push back. It is not a Galra finder. You're doing great. It does not find Galra. It predicts where they are. It's a very important distinction.
Yes.
Yeah, I love Pidge's device. Like, I love that. I love just, Pidge is brilliant, and I think we need to accept that Pidge is like 14, yet she is smarter than literally everyone we have met, except maybe Zarkon. So,
Pidge is the best.
Pidge is just amazing. We need just a spotlight on Pidge. Just an episode of just Pidge being Pidge. Nothing else, just Pidge. And maybe
like, what does Pidge do, like, every day? What is, like, in a normal day, what is Pidge up to?
Learning 10 languages in the span of one day.
And being attacked by the terrifying Altean technology.
Yeah, how is Pidge not dead yet? Because Pidge messes with the text so much, yet survives.
Didn't we just say how awesome she was?
Yeah, exactly. That's true. Pidge is just too good.
Pidge too good, 2K17.
Yep.
So, Keith and Allura go off on their pod, like, this was like the ultimate loner. It's like a loner to the max of, I'm causing all of this trouble. No, I'm causing all of this trouble. Well, fine, let's just both go, and then neither of us can cause any trouble to anybody. It felt a bit much, but I get why they did it. What did you guys think?
I was with Pidge. Well, it was funny how she called out like, "Oh, good, you're isolating the variable." Well, you're isolating two variables, and I'm like, "Thank you." Now, if the Galra find that ship, that we won't know which one of you is.
We'll have to do it again.
And you'll still be complaining to each other. It was me. No, it was me. And it's like, come on. So what they need to do is they need to get every single lion just separate each other. And then find out which one they go for. And then just have the warp drive all spun up and ready to go. And then warp out as soon as they get arrived. Then there's your answer.
But they weren't thinking smart. They were thinking like 2006 complete teen angst. Which, exactly. I mean, I don't know how old Allura is, but there was a lot of teen angst in this episode. It was. Like, their whole arc was just teen angst, the arc. But I did like those scenes. Let's go ahead and talk about, like, those scenes where they're just in the pod talking about, like... We talked earlier about Allura's kind of prejudice against the Galra, which makes sense. But it was really strong here. Delaney, what did you think of Allura talking about the Galra?
I mean, definitely. I had said, like, we're definitely going to talk about this more. And I mean, obviously, this is very deep. I mean, the Galra destroyed her civilization. You know, like everything she ever knew. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, definitely this is going to, like, cause friction when, you know, Alien Keith happens or whatever's going on with him. And, you know, it's more friction as we deal with the Blade of Malmora. I think that's what they're called. And, I mean, we're going to have to keep going with it and see what's going on. I feel like maybe we're going to get a little bit... I mean, I'm not really expecting there's more to it for Allura than, you know, the fact that, like, they've just, you know, they've conquered the universe, they, you know, destroyed her civilization, but maybe we'll talk a little bit more about, you know, maybe more, like, deeper, not necessarily, I mean, obviously that's enough, but I don't know, maybe a more specific reason, but I think it's, like, Allura's mad, cool, Allura, be mad, like, you should be mad, like, you should obviously, like, and I think it's fair that she is, you know, kind of, I mean, I do think, you know, it's different as viewers. We're seeing all of the pieces, and, you know, Ulas was just one Galra who, you know, in Shiro's, it's based off Shiro's, you know, he's not remembering, like, he couldn't remember until literally that episode when it happened, and then it was just Ulas, and then Ulas died, so we'll just have to see when we get to the Blade of Malmora, you know, what's really going on, and kind of, Allura interacting with them, and like, how they treat Allura, and how Allura responds. So I mean, we're in for some interesting stuff, and like, you know, this kind of, I think I'm a little anxious about how they're going to handle it, because this could go really badly, like, you know, kind of the, you know, societal implications of what they're representing and things like that, especially, you know, the current political climate. So we'll see where they're going with it. Right now, I think it's fine. So we'll have to see.
Well, I think we definitely need some showing some flashbacks, because
Yeah.
she can say all she wants. Oh, they destroyed my civilization, whatever, took over the galaxy. But like, until we see what they did to her personally, I think we're going to be missing out on why she's mad, and we won't be able to empathize with her as much. Very similar to the Southern Raiders episode from Legend of Korra, or sorry, not Legend of Korra, it's Avatar. We got to see the flashbacks to the mom actually being killed.
Yeah, I think that added a lot of weight to Katara's character, and I think if we get something similar to Allura, hopefully, sooner than we got the Southern Raiders, which was like almost the end of the show, I think that would really change kind of how we feel now as opposed to how we feel retrospectively about, like, how we felt about the Fire Nation after seeing that. If we got that kind of thing earlier on in the show, I think that would really impact a lot of how we feel about the Galra.
Well, I think it's a weakness of the show currently. Also, I think it's easy to be like, well, the Galra are bad, but, Allura is supposed to be better. But I think, we're gonna just have to see. I think, how Allura's feeling makes a lot of sense, and honestly, the Paladins kind of buying into Ulas and the Blade of Malmor so quickly is a little, almost unbelievable. Granted, they're also from Earth, and they're just entering into this, millennial-long, conflict. So
Right.
it'll be interesting to see all the pieces, and I'm really excited to see the Blade of Malmor, how that's gonna play out. I'm ready for that, and I hope, I'm seeing it more of the penultimate episode. Maybe I would hope it's a little bit earlier. I hope it's not just the finale. Maybe it's the, second to last or episode. So hopefully soon.
So we get to Taujeer and we see the Ark, and this, as much as there was a lot of sarcasm from the Taujeerians, especially with I'd feel more comfortable with all 5 paladins being here. Why are there only 4 of you? Their entire species was moments from dying. This was heavy. I even made a note, because, Marvok, whatever his name was kind of an idiot. But for the lame villain of the episode, he was completely ready to commit genocide.
Yeah.
Which...
he was just gonna take him out.
Yeah, that's kind of heavy. That's not okay, man. That's really not okay. And so, I think that kind of got downplayed a bit too much. But it was
well, and they also,
very...
they completely, they disabled their ship for no reason other than just to be obnoxious and to be awful to them. Just to torture them some more.
Yeah. Yeah, the Galra, we have reason to hate the Galra. And so seeing... I think it was fun stuff, though, on the planet. I don't know why Hunk, got his new power, but it came in handy. I literally wrote, Hunk got him some new armor claws. Which, what did you think of those?
Ka-ching! That was the beginning of the episode.
Oh, that's all we really need to say about the armor claws, is they go ka-ching!
Yeah, that's it. That's all they do. Also, it's kind of oh, it's so exciting. The claws, extend. Really? It's a lion, bro. But why did
I
it
want
take
that
this
on
long?
a shirt. It's a lion, bro.
Yes, Voltron. It's a lion, bro.
So we talked about the Keith and Allura space stuff. I think we kind of alluded to this earlier. Karan trying to pilot the Red Lion.
The
Delaney.
cape.
Yes, Delaney, what are your thoughts?
The cape. Why? One, I was I was kind of when I was overwhelmed by his outfit. And I was bruh, chill. But then it was really interesting. I was almost a little I had mixed feelings about it. I was a little disappointed that Karan didn't pilot the red line, but then it also makes sense, deep connection to the Paladins, and I think this is definitely adding more lore to it. It's not just anyone. So I don't know. This is also a little contradictory. He was well, there's no one else here to pilot it, and he goes in there. He has this ridiculous speech to the Red Line, and he could have piloted it. I don't know. It's interesting. I guess there can just be a body in the Red Lion, but there has to be that connection to really make it powerful. But it was obviously an entertaining scene. His outfit's ridiculous. Karan is ridiculous. And the Red Lion going for Keith was really good.
Yeah, that scene was great. I loved seeing the Red Lion get to Keith, and they form Voltron. And Jeff, you've already talked about it, but what are your thoughts on the gigantic sword?
It certainly looks pretty cool. Again, it's a dangerous path to just give more and more powers, but I am super interested to see what else what else they can do with it. I mean, just for nothing else in it, just like for the spectacle of it. What other powers can this thing have? Come on, entertain us. Come on, right?
Yeah, I'm very excited to see kind of where they go with that. It is a bit OP, but if you watch a lot of mech stuff, they do frequently get very OP, and then the villains just get even more OP, and it's just... I feel like the Gara Empire is going to do something drastic to get even more powerful soon, and all of the really cool powers that Voltron has will suddenly seem insignificant, and we will need even bigger powers soon.
The next row beast.
Yes. And you said it! You said the word! I'm proud of you!
It hurt me, but it's okay.
The things we sacrifice for this podcast,
Yes.
So, yeah, we get the confirmation then at the end that Zarkon's tracking them through the Black Lion, and...
I felt very much like, I don't know who he is. He's in Napoleon Dynamite. Uncle Rico. When he stumbles in after the time machine goes wrong, it's like, anything doesn't work. And he's like, I could have told you that.
Yeah, right.
Like, come on. Of course it was the Black Lion. What else could it be?
Yeah. I felt, it didn't really feel, it was like, duh. Yes, we figured this out 3 episodes ago, y'all. Why are we... That was a little irritating. The show doesn't do that a lot, so it was kind of...
In fact, yeah, I think that's I don't know. Also, there was, Karen earlier was like, no paladins ever tracked their lion at such a distance, and I felt like throwing his words back at him because late last season, he was like, whoa, they've found a new way to extract quintessence. I've never seen that before. So, because when they were extracting the quintessence from the planets and converting it into fuel.
Right.
And so I'm like, come on, man, you're aware that they're using techno sorcery to do some really cool stuff.
Why are you still surprised by things the Gara do?
It's just Karan being shocked. That's what the show is. It's just Karan being shocked.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the end of episode 6. Final thoughts, anyone, before we sign off?
Cutting the ship in half was awesome. It being ridiculous aside was incredible, and not to spoil anyone, but granted it's been out for a little bit, but it very much to me felt like that moment in Rogue One when all the stuff's happening in space. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
I've seen it, and I'm not sure I know what you're talking about.
The ships.
Tell me later, because
okay.
That's
anyway,
not what I remember.
If anyone understands what I'm talking about, that's awesome. But I don't know, it just, it reminded me of, the ships colliding in Rogue One.
Okay.
Oh,
yes, I know what you're talking about. That was fantastic. Just fantastic.
That's just how I felt about it. I don't know, this episode's just really good. It's gorgeous, and we have some really interesting character moments, and the episodes are getting better, and it's really exciting, and that really wasn't what was going on in Season 1. Season 1 held really steady until the finale, and we're going up. I'm really excited to see where we end. So what's next, in the next 2 episodes, really excited.
Awesome. Jeff, final thoughts?
Like you said, these episodes are getting, unlike you, I think I did not have the greatest opinion of the first couple episodes, but, it's really upped its game since then, so, we'll see if it can continue that trend or whatever, but so far it's just a really solid show.
Yeah, I guess my final thoughts would be, I'm excited to see what happens next, and if you haven't seen it, go see Rogue One. That's That's basically the point of this podcast, is the show is good, and go see Star Wars. So thank you so much to everyone for listening. If you want to support us, please review us on iTunes, rank us on Stitcher. That helps more people find us, so you have more people to blab about all your favorite shows with. And you can support us financially via Patreon. Go to patreon.com/overlyanimated. All kinds of cool rewards. We have a Facebook group just for our patrons where you can talk with us and hang out, and it's cool and it's fun. And we do monthly live streams, and you get your own patron nickname. Thank you to all of our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Ryan, aka Brian. We love our nicknames. We do a great job, I think. And stay tuned for more Voltron coverage. We will be coming out with these about every other day or so, and we're going to go through the rest of the season. Look forward to that, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.